I don't even know if I could scream because I was in that much shock. I couldn't even see where I was going in the end up, but I just kept bouncing. It genuinely felt as if I was in a bobsleigh. And then see when I'd landed in the marsh, I felt as if it wasn't real. I felt as if I was somewhere I wasn't even supposed to be. I started questioning myself whether I was actually alive. My name's Callum Laird. I'm an endurance athlete and I fell 2,000 feet off Arenscope Fell. So that's like the hill in front of Goat Fell, like you can, it's not even half it. So I had a run for 5 hours on my training plan and it was on Valentine's Day. So I was over doing this run in Arran. I'd ran 50k the week before, so this was more hill walking rather than running, just for an easier day.
Could you explain to me a little bit more about what the route is?
So you head from the ferry terminal and you're running for the ferry terminal down, heading towards La Carranza, and there's this climb to your left-hand side as you're heading down this road. Sheer steep climb heading up towards, it's a mountain called Goat Fell, and it's, say, 850 metres up, and it took me 45 minutes to get up, but it would roughly usually take you about, say, an hour to an hour and a half to get up. Some of the terrain's very, very difficult. More elevation but less miles, so it was to replicate obviously some of the climbs that I'm going to be doing in an event called Transgran Canaria. So it's 80 miles, but it's also got 22,000 feet of climbing in it. I just wanted a piece of something that was a little bit harder as well. I just wanted to go and see where I am in terms of like performance levels. I was actually on the ferry talking to 2 guys and I was telling them that I was going to run this route, and I've told them I've run this route a couple of times before. I was actually kind of boasting a bit when I was, which you probably shouldn't do, but I was sitting boasting a wee bit. I've spent a bit of time in Arran. I'd won the ultra marathon that went over that route, so when they says to me, is that no a bit sketchy, I denied it. I says it's actually a decent route. It's kind of, as long as you know the path, you'd be fine. But see, being up there, it was so dodgy. I actually started thinking back to the time that I was talking to 2 guys on the ferry and I was saying this is just what you get if I'd been that type of person. When I got to North Goat Fell, I noticed that my decision making wasn't that good, and that I'd came to a peak of the hill that was just covered in ice. It was very, very dodgy. I was starting to lose my own footing, starting to panic a wee bit, and then I realised that when I turned back I was going to start heading back towards the normal peak of Goat Fell, and then I fell off the side. I just had to keep falling. I was falling down, I was tumbling over, it was landing on my head, I was landing on my sides. Let my hat come over my face, so I lost all vision of me going down this hill, and I suddenly caught my arm on, it was like a kind of tree stump slash kind of rock, and I was just hanging there, and I was going to pull my phone out to phone Mountain Rescue, and I realised that I didn't have my phone, I didn't have anything. I sat for about a minute and I realised that to survive that I had to just jump back down this hill. I fell from North Goat Fell and I couldn't even see where I was going in the end up because I kept on trying to pull my hat up to see where I was going, but I just kept bouncing. It genuinely felt as if I was in a bobsleigh and I was just sliding down this, and I'd fully accepted at one point that I was going to die. So when I jumped back down this hill the second time, it was even scarier. I was sliding more on my feet this time because I knew that I had burns in my bum and burns all the way down my sides. I noticed that I'd had a hole in my shin and I could see through it my bones. And I landed in this kind of, it was softer snow. It wasn't complete marsh yet, it was just softer snow. And there was bits of heather sticking out the ground, and I had to drop piece by piece with each bit of heather until I landed in the grassy marsh. Once I landed in the grassy marsh, I didn't give it much time.
So then when you landed on the marsh, what was going through your mind?
I just checked if I broke anything, so I got up and I kind of jumped about, kind of going side to side and just checking that my body could actually cope with going down this hill. Once I started going down the hill, I felt as if I was like Bambi on ice. I felt as if like my body was so weak, but I knew that I just thought to myself it was because I was cold and I wanted to get moving again. I don't know how I managed to run, but I ended up running, and I just kept on running, telling myself I needed to get warm. So I was determined that I was going to get back to the ferry and get to the hospital where my missus was working. But say I get 3 miles down this path and this woman appears and stops me and says that I really need serious attention. By that time when I'd stopped, I was absolutely freezing, and she gave me a jacket to put on. Well, she got me inside her car, and then that's when she decided she was taking me to the hospital because I just kept deteriorating.
And when you got to the hospital, what happened then? Can you take me through the next
So, the woman at reception just looked as if she'd seen a ghost. They asked me to sit down in the reception and write out my details, and I couldn't even feel my hands to write with a pen. They had me on a bed with this, it was called a bear hugger. So you put a tube inside a cover and they blow it up and they wrap it round you, and then the 2 or 3 more covers wrapped around me, and I was still sitting there freezing. And that's when they went and took me for an x-ray and noticed that I had a chipped bone in my ankle. The doctor told me that she had no idea how I'd survived the fall, never mind actually getting to run after it and walking so far to get back to a car before even making it into the hospital and still being stable without getting hypothermia and the conditions that I was in.
What was the next sequence of events after they've x-rayed you?
So I'd fell at 11:30, so say I was in there for about 12:15. I was in there for 12:15 until 9 o'clock the next morning. In the morning, I'd get informed that I was getting airlifted, and this helicopter took off, and I was going to flying over to Chris House Hospital, where then I had to sit in an ambulance for 3 hours, until they let me actually inside the hospital, where I was then treated in the resus area.
That whole experience of staying overnight in the hospital, being
there alone.
What was that doing to your head?
That it was actually starting to get pretty, like I was starting to doubt myself, and I was starting to think that I would never be able to run again. I was some kind of part of me says that I didn't actually deserve the treatment I was getting, because it felt as if that was meant to happen sometimes. I was just starting to get myself right down, and that I wasn't going to get to be able to do the things I love again, and I was in a really dark place.
Of course your Arran run was training for Gran Canaria.
Yes.
So given that you had all this like pain and recovery, what were you thinking?
I just kept thinking if these burns heal I could still run, and it wasn't until the next Saturday I went back out and I ran a 5k. I trained for say 12 weeks for this, and I don't want to let the training go to waste.
So less than 7 days between you falling off the side of a mountain and you getting back to running. That's how
Yes.
long it was. That's remarkable.
Yes.
What has your one big takeaway been from the experience that you've had?
Just when they recommend getting up there yourself. Even in conditions like today when it's rainy, I wouldn't even recommend being up there now. You would probably always tell somebody where you're going or have safety equipment in your bag. I didn't have any equipment at all. In my bag, I would have a full spare kit. I would have an extra hat, an extra pair of gloves. I would also take a tracker with me, because knowing that I've lost my phone as well, it'd be good to have a second tracker on me. I would encourage someone to come over with me. Maybe not even to do the route with me, but to even be in the same place. Because if you're over on an island like this as well, it's very limited for the people that you have round about you.